And you are listening to a live teletown hall meeting with State Representative Ben Glarden of Owosso. We're joined by hundreds of constituents across the district this evening. If you'd like to ask a question of Representative Ben Glarden, you can press 0 and you'll be connected with an operator. No topic is off the table. So again, if you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0 and you'll be connected with an operator. And Representative Ben Glarden, I know you welcome this type of opportunity, this type of teletown hall meeting, because after all, so much of your job as a state representative reflects this type of interaction with the people you work for.
It certainly does, John. I really welcome these opportunities. My grassroots connection is in my district, and that's where I love to be. I prefer to be there over being in Lansing, and this gives me the opportunity when I'm not able to maybe have a town hall meeting or office hours. This gives me an additional tool to reach out and be connected.
And again, you are listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Glarden. If you would like to ask a question, you can press 0 and you'll be connected to an operator who in turn will connect you with Representative Glarden. Representative, there are a lot of things we could talk about tonight. Here in Lansing, obviously, there has been a lot of discussion about roads, how we pay for them. Recently, we saw the state legislature complete work on the state budget for the 2015 fiscal year, which starts October 1st. You were mentioning to me that you're hearing from constituents about other issues, like the price of a gallon of gas. So as we were saying, no question is off the table, no topic is off the table, and if you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0, and you'll be connected with an operator. It sounds like you're actually hearing a lot from your constituents as you work in the district this summer.
I have been, and I do. I particularly try to take Mondays and Fridays and reach out and do different venues. And all across my district throughout the year, and particularly now, I have time to interact more, which is very beneficial. I get to hear what is on their day-to-day radar and how what we're doing affects them. And I certainly hear an awful lot about roads and road funding, and I think there's a strong consensus that we certainly need to do something. I don't know that we have something that everybody has their arms around yet, but it's certainly an ongoing, probably a premier topic as I go through a grocery store or wherever I'm met on the street. That often is a subject that comes up.
And again, if you'd like to ask a question of Representative Ben Glarden, you can press 0 and you'll be connected with an operator. Representative, in terms of roads, actually we are seeing some action. We just talked about the state budget for the 2015 fiscal year. That has an additional $285 million for road construction. And the fact of the matter is, this summer, too, we have seen additional dollars going in to our roads. But we're also talking about the need to find a longer-term solution, aren't we?
Absolutely. That, we just came off of one of the most severe winters and demanding on equipment and maintenance and cost to our local roads and our state highways. We were able to give additional funding right up front this year to offset those costs. And then we also did, as you mentioned, the $285 million is an ongoing additional dollars that we have put towards funding of roads. But you're absolutely right. The long-term sustainable funding is what we need to work on.
And turn that into, and again, if you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0 and you'll be connected to an operator. The House of Representatives, in terms of long-term funding, did approve a package back in May that would, through basically existing resources, dedicate, about an additional almost $500 million to roads.
Yes, it did. And that was really kind of a collective group of ideas that were obtained through all representatives across the state that kind of came back and gave some input. And we heard over and over again that the taxpayers wanted to identify ways to put existing resources to better use and to make certain that we were spending what we had efficiently and effectively. And I think what the House did was just that. On that $500 million, I readily acknowledge it wasn't $1.5 billion, but I think it was $500 million that was a tremendous foundation, not based on raising additional revenue, but it was based on some performance things and criteria that was proving that we were effectively, efficiently addressing the road issue.
And, Representative, we're starting to see some questions come in right now. Again, if you would like to ask a question, you can press 0, and you'll be connected with an operator who in turn will connect you with Representative Ben Glarden. Right now, let's go to Donna in Richland Township, who's calling in with a question about roads. Donna, you're on with Representative Ben Glarden.
Hi. I watch the news all the time, and I see, taxes, gas tax, whatever, sales tax increases. And I am just wondering, where has all the money gone that through the years has been set aside for road repair? I mean, I'm sure there had to be some kind of a fund set aside, just for road repairs in the state of Michigan.
Well, unfortunately, it's not. There's nothing that's been set aside, and that's where we're at right now. Is this additional money that we're seeking right now is just to maintain our roads, and unfortunately, this has been decades of a discussion, and for whatever reason, has not. No one has came up with the silver bullet to fix this and to put a safety net for maintaining roads, and that is exactly why we're in the position we're in now, that we are trying to, we have roads now in our county that are going from pavement to gravel. And it's just because we do not have the funds right now to maintain our existing roads.
And Representative, too, this is an area really with a lot of moving parts, road funding is. You could argue that we've seen underinvestment in the state's roads literally for decades. Obviously, cars now are more fuel efficient than they were 10, 20, 30 years ago. That has an impact, too, at the pump. So it's really a very dynamic issue, isn't it?
There's a lot of moving parts to it. Certainly, the gas tax hasn't kept up with inflation, and that's part of the issue. And there are a lot of people that think that the current gas tax now all goes towards roads, which it does not. There's a very large percentage of it that goes to school funding and revenue. So the whole mechanism, how we pay for it, and Public Act 51 is very complex. Of just dollars that go into it, the dollars for transportation in general, it covers public transportation, it covers rail, it covers ports. So it's a very large animal with a lot of moving parts. But bottom line, it essentially has been underfunded, and no one has come up with the solution. There seems to be a very big consensus that we need to do something, but no matter what item we come up with, you mentioned the gas tax and the registration fees, and there's just not been a lot of support for those two methods of raising additional dollars.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Glarden of Owosso. Representative, I'm sure, will be talking more about roads and how we pay for them as the evening goes along. But at the same time, too, we have questions on other topics coming in as well. Right now, let's go to Don in Merrill. It sounds like Don is calling in with a question about automobile insurance. Good evening, Don. You're on with Representative Ben Glarden.
Hi, Don.
Hi. I'm wondering, Michigan is the only state I understand that has this Michigan catastrophe insurance. We don't know where our money's going or how it's being spent, and why are we having to pay it on our automobiles?
Well, I will tell you that's another ongoing discussion. I sat on the insurance committee for the last 4 years, and it is, we have tried addressing it now for the 4 years I have been here. And you talk about complexity, that is a complex issue. We have certainly the best, greatest no-fault system in the United States, and it is unlimited and it is forever. But there is some belief that that is not necessarily sustainable at its current funding mechanism, and so it continues to cause our insurance to go up. But addressing the issue is extremely complex because there are many people that are dependent on this and have survived because of it. So we are continuing to look for a solution to that as well. But I will tell you, having sat through the committees that I have sat through in the hours of testimony, there are an awful lot of angles that need to be looked at, and there's an awful lot of spokes to that wheel.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Lardon of Owosso. If you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0, and you'll be connected to an operator. Now, Representative, we were talking about roads a couple of minutes ago. Is it fair to say when you talk to folks back in your district that they're especially concerned that whatever new money might be out there goes to local roads, the roads that they live on, the roads that they drive on every day?
Absolutely. I hear that echoed every day, that if we truly are using everything that we have efficiently and effectively, then if we're going to raise additional revenue and it's going to come out of all of our taxpayers' pockets, that they want to see results on the roads they drive. And that's probably been first and foremost after the discussion of if we do need to or not need to raise additional revenue is how are we going to be certain that it's going to go to our roads and bridges.
And again, if you would like to ask a question of Representative Ben Lardon, you can press 0 and you'll be connected with an operator. No topic is off the table. And with that, right now, let's go to Anna, who is calling in with a question about Obamacare. Good evening, Anna. You're on with Representative Ben Lardon.
Good evening.
Hi, Anna.
I think it's a joke. It's a laugh, and people are getting majorly screwed over by it. What are people going to do for people that don't even get it because of whatever reason? And not only that, them trying to state that pop is for obesity when that's a crack or lie. If that's the case, so is candy bars, so is potato chips, so is pudding, and he's like trying to shove crap down our throats about all this stuff. And I know a certain person, they told her she's not even qualified for it, and she does.
I'm assuming you were referring to Obamacare, and obviously that has many, many issues, and it is right now, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who you talk to or who you what perspective, it is the law of the land, and until that changes, Michigan did adopt, and we did adopt a bill that addresses some of the issues that are specific to Michigan that I think protected Michigan taxpayers. But as of right now, it is the law of the land, and until that changes federally, there's not an awful lot that the state can do about it.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Lardon of Owosso. If you would like to ask a question, you can press 0, and you'll be connected to an operator. Representative, I know one of the issues that you hear a lot about and that you talk a lot about is the issue of education, public education. Actually, just last week in the Michigan House of Representatives, you approved an education budget that, is it correct to say, spends more money on education than ever before in Michigan history?
Yes, it is. It was historic. The challenges with education, when I took over 4 years ago, we had a one-time stimulus, federal-funded stimulus that went towards education that was done when I started, and everybody understood that that was not coming back. we, for some reason, kind of got attached to that, but that was a one-time stimulus money, along with the declining enrollment, along with property values decreasing. Certainly made for funding of schools decreasing. Despite that, the state, we have actually increased funding each year to try to offset that. Now we are in a position when our economy is growing and things are turning around slowly. We now have the funds to start funding some of these underfunded programs like education and roads. So I look forward to that continue. But yeah, we did put an additional. The total budget was $14 billion, but we put a historic dollar this year to education funding.
And that's across the board, isn't it? We're talking about higher education, universities, community colleges, K-12. There's also, an additional $65 million for early childhood education, and that's very important too, isn't it?
It is. It's extremely important, and I am very grateful. We certainly have a tremendous Great Start program in my district, and I am really grateful that it's been certainly a priority of this legislature to continue to fund it. And not only have we funded it, but we have exceeded nationally. We have exceeded all national funding. So we outpace the nation in funding for early childhood, and it is, I think, tremendously pays off in the long run.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Glardon of Owasso. If you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0 and you'll be connected to an operator. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0 and you'll be connected to an operator. Right now, let's go to June in Corunna, who's calling in with a question about landlord-tenant relationships. Good evening, June. You're on with Representative Ben Glardon.
Hello, Mr. Glardon. Yes, I have been a landlord for 46 years, and I am seeing it being more difficult every day to try to evict a tenant. All of the laws are for the tenant rather than the landlord. It used to be I could evict a tenant in about a month and a half. Now it has gone to 2 months, and I know this because I have one in progress right now, and I have just evicted one before. The reasons why I believe so many tenants are being evicted is because of the quality of the people that we are getting now to rent our properties. With interest rates so low, people of upstanding citizens, will buy a house, or if they are not the type of person that wants to buy, they will rent, but they do not want to rent houses like we have. My husband and I have 3-bedroom houses. They are all in the city of Owasso. We not only have to abide by the stringent codes and requirements that the city has, but I can live with those codes, but I am not going to be able to keep dealing
well, June,
with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think certainly that has been, if you've been in the rental business, it's probably been a long discussion, and having been in my real estate world, I've certainly had to deal with that, and I know it's through court proceedings and all the cities and villages with different ordinances, and it is, I will not dispute that it is a challenge, and trying to walk that line of protecting everybody's rights and still recognizing that the landlords have rents as well as the tenants have rents. So I don't know if you have something specifically that you've had an issue with and want to contact my office. If there's something I can look into, I would be glad to. I don't know of anything on the books right now addressing the issue specifically, but if you want to give my office a call, and I will again give my office number for those of you that may want to reach me and are not able to reach tonight. It's 517-373-0841, and would be glad to talk with you further on that.
And Representative, maybe that's a reflection, too, of an important part of your job. A lot of times we think of the state representative at the Capitol voting on bills or in committee voting on bills. The fact of the matter is a lot of your job as a state representative does deal with constituent service people questions, basically helping people out when they call up your office with a problem.
Yes, it does, and that's probably the most rewarding part. One of the most rewarding parts of this job is to actually be able to help when someone is at a dead end on an issue and is able to, we are able to solve or resolve an issue is probably one of the most rewarding parts of this job.
Again, if you would like to ask a question of Representative Ben Glarden, you can press 0, and you'll be connected with an operator. No topic is off the table. Right now, let's go to Ann in Owasso, who's calling in with a question. It looks like about teacher health care and retirement. Good evening, Ann. You're on with Representative Ben Glarden.
Yes,
Hi, Ann.
I'm concerned of how we're going to fund people that are like you and anybody in the government and the teachers, how we can pay for this high cost of the health insurance that's gone up and up and up. And I don't know what's going to happen to it. Already you're paying over $7,000 for each student, and I think that money is just for the teachers and the employees and the state workers, just for their salary and their retirement and their health insurance. But this health insurance is going up like 4 times of what it was. So how in the world do they pay for the health insurance for all the retirees that are already retired and the teachers that are going to retire and part of the...
Well, and that's a very good question, and one we are dealing with every day, and it is a big, big part of school funding, frankly, and unfortunately, the retirement side of that, for too many years, those dollars have had to come out of the classroom to go towards retirement, and it is essentially an unfunded, it's referred to as the MIPSers. And as a result of that, we have been putting additional funds. In this last budget, we put an additional $1 billion in the state aid, in the school aid budget for the retirement. Some may argue that, well, that doesn't go to the classroom, and I would argue that in fact it does, because the dollars that we are additionally funding for the retirement is dollars now that does not have to be taken away from that $7,000 per student that you referred to. So we are making great strides on the retirement side of it. But it was an issue that was not addressed and is addressed now. We were able to put, I know the schools in our district of this last funding are going to probably receive somewhere between $150 and $175 additional dollars more than last year per student, along with us still funding, additional funding going towards the retirement. The healthcare issue is another subject, and there are some programs now that we've kind of incorporated that to be more like the private sector, where everybody's kind of contributing towards their healthcare options. So that too is being addressed.
And Representative, maybe it's important to point out that you as a state representative in your job will not be getting a pension. You have a 401k plan, but you don't have a pension, contrary to maybe what some people think.
Very true. You mentioned that you worry about my pension. You don't have to worry about my pension because we don't get a pension.
Again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Glarden. A variety of questions coming in right now. People asking about road issues, about the price of gas, about education. Obviously, no question, no topic is off the table. So if you would like to ask a question, you can press 0 and you'll be connected with an operator. Right now, let's go to Joshua in Vernon Township, who's calling in with an education question. Good evening, Joshua. You're on with Representative Ben Gordon.
Hi, Joshua. Hello?
You there, Joshua? Sounds as though maybe somebody was...
Yes.
This is not Joshua, but this is Vernon. I don't know whether it's me you want to talk to or not.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Mary from Vernon. All right.
All right.
What is your opinion of K through 12 online education they're advertising on TV, cutting out hands-on education through the public school systems? Evidently, this is something they're doing now, which in my opinion is a mistake.
Well, Mary, I am a very strong supporter of public education. I have a daughter in public schools, and I have supported public education. I'm also certainly for parents having the option to do what's best for their children. I will say that I actually voted against the cyber school expansion. My concern at this point in time is that I want a level playing field for whatever method of education we're going to do. We're talking about the most important piece of the future of our country are these young people. So I certainly want that to remain strong, and I don't want to do something that is going to jeopardize public education, and I want a fair and level playing field as far as dollars goes and how we educate and the dollars that are going to our students, that I want a fair and level playing field.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Gordon of Owasso. If you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0 and you'll be connected with an operator. Right now, let's go to James, who's calling in with another question about roads. Good evening, James. You're on with Representative Ben Gordon.
Yeah.
Hi, James.
I have two questions. One's about Obamacare. I'm a senior, and I've got to pay for my Medicare and my supplemental and my dental and all that, and I'm on a limited income. And I know some people that they don't have a job or income, and they're getting all their Medicare and supplemental, and they ain't paying nothing for it, and everything is paid through the plans they've got. But I've got co-pays and deductibles on what I've got. I mean, we worked all our lives, and I don't think that's right.
Okay, what's your second question, and I'll hit them both.
The second one is about, I can't think how to answer that. It's about the road.
All right, well, I'll address the Obamacare, affordable health care, whatever you want to call it, is certainly not without issues. I will readily admit that I think we need to address health care issues in this nation. I am not convinced that affordable health care is the answer or solution. If I ruled the world right now, we would be probably doing something much differently. But right now, that is the law of the land. And I certainly know that there are some headaches with it, both on the receiving side as well as the employer side. And I know that there are people that are being put to part-time because the employers can't afford to pay it. So where this all shakes out, I don't know, but it is a federal issue right now, and until that changes, we are going to have to figure out how to deal with it.
Okay. But like I say, I don't think it's right. I mean, we work all our lives, and half my income's gone into insurance. And
I can't argue. I can't argue that.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Gordon of Owasso. If you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0, and you'll be connected with an operator. Representative Glardon, we talked a little bit about the state budget for 2015 in terms of education, but if we look at other parts of the budget there too, there's more money for state troopers, more revenue sharing for our communities, and we're talking about a budget that really impacts just about every corner of our lives, and in a lot of areas we're maybe seeing smarter, more efficient government coming out of Lansing than we've seen in recent years.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we are seeing now some rewards of some very tough but necessary decisions we had to make when we took over, and it comes with great challenges. When we started with a $1.5 billion deficit, meaning we were spending that much more than we were taking in, and to come up with a balanced budget in the last 4 years, 3 months ahead of schedule, with real dollars and real money, along with putting additional funds in a rainy day fund and balancing the budget, I think all these reforms are now paying off. And now that we see the economy growing and more jobs and our average income increasing, we are benefiting now, and now we have more revenue. So we now in this budget we have made our townships and counties and cities budget whole again, and we've been able to give additional road funding to roads. We've been able to give additional funding to schools and certainly additional funding to the state police, which is for public safety is always money well spent.
And Representative, you mentioned the rainy day fund too, which is really sort of the savings account for the state of Michigan. When you came to Lansing, that account had only about $2 million in it, which would run government for probably about a half hour. Is that maybe a sign, an indication that, again, government is a little more efficient, a little more effective? They're doing what families do, which is to put some money aside.
It absolutely is, and it is looking at it as a family member would, sitting at their kitchen table and looking at their budget or a business, and that's exactly what we did. And as a result of that, our ratings have gone up, in our loan ratings and our interest rates have went down because of our strength and our dollars that we now have in a rainy day fund that shows that we are good stewards of the money that we do have.
And again, you're listening to a live Teletown Hall meeting with Representative Ben Glardon of Owasso. If you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0, and you'll be connected with an operator. Right now, let's go to Mary, who's calling in with a question about accountability for road maintenance. Good evening, Mary. You're on with Representative Ben Glardon.
Hi. Good evening. Yes, I
Hi,
got a
Mary.
question. We had our roads done here. I live out in a rural. We do have a paved road, but it's a single road. The road commission come out and put a line down the center and on the side, and it was on that pea gravel that they put on to resurface. It didn't even last a year. We have no line, nothing. So if we're talking about where's the money going, I think the road commission should be held accountable for it.
Okay, that is part of the road funding package, is to address accountability, because I heard that across the district time and time again, that if we first and foremost need to spend the dollars we have effective and efficient, and then next, if we're going to raise additional funds, how are they going to be monitored? And so the dollars actually go through what's called a Public Act 51, and that's distributed through counties and cities. And then each county and each jurisdiction then has control over how they do spend their dollars they're allotted. There are some restrictions and requirements that come with it, but essentially we try to give the local control, as much local control in handling their local road issues. So they are the ones that determine how and what the dollars do get spent on.
Again, Representative, let's go back to that constituent service angle for a moment. If people aren't able to get through tonight, if they do have a question they don't want to talk about during the Teletown Hall, it's as simple as giving your office a call, dropping you an email, and I know you're always available in your district too, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I pride myself in being accessible, and I truly enjoy meeting and being with people. I devote an awful lot of hours either meeting one-on-one if they aren't able to meet at a coffee hour that I have scheduled or structured. I have set up an awful lot of meetings either in town, out of town, or elsewhere. And I do make my rounds to township meetings and that to stay connected. And I think that is truly what this job needs. I need to hear from the people in my district, and I take a lot of pleasure in staying connected. For those of you that do want to reach me, it's just Ben Glarden at house.mi.gov, or again, my phone number is 517-373-0841.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Glarden from Owasso. If you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0, and you'll be connected to an operator. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, you can press 0, and you'll be connected to an operator. We've been talking about a lot of different topics tonight, and obviously no topic is off the table. Taking a look at the list right here, Representative, why don't we go to Gary in Burns Township, who's calling in with a question about, looks like he's calling in with a question about fracking. Good evening, Gary. You're on with Representative Ben Glarden.
Yes. I was wondering, have you been on any committees or know anything about the natural gas well drilling they're going to do around Michigan using the fracking fluid method?
Well, Gary, I'm not on the Energy Committee, but I have seen and I've heard a lot of discussion. There are certainly some hearings going on and some bills that are potentially in the works. At this stage, I guess my opinion, I try to remain as open and objective to anything and get all the facts that I can glean before I become opinionated on something, and that is where I'm at right now. I do know that we do have an awful lot of natural resources across this country. I'm certainly a supporter of trying to utilize what we have as opposed to being dependent on foreign oil and foreign oil price control. But obviously you want to also be mindful of all the environmental issues that come along with it. So I am remaining open to that and am ready for further debate and further vetting of those issues.
Representative, is what we're seeing here tonight, what we're hearing tonight, maybe a good reflection of your job, all told, because obviously you have to deal with an awful lot of issues in your job as a state representative.
It certainly is, and that's probably what I find so interesting, is that we're miles and miles wide on subjects, and the things that I'm on, I have the privilege of serving on 4 very busy committees, and the things that come before me on those committees, we get to drill down pretty deep on them. But all the other things and the bills that come to the floor, we have to rely on our other committee members in the vetting that goes on those committees, and then what comes out of the committee after hours of testimony. So that, along with, I go back to the emphasis I put in my grassroots and what I call my trusted resources in my district, that I have the comfort level and the relationship to go back to for input and to get input on such a vast variety of issues.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Glarden of Owasso. If you would like to ask a question, please press 0 and you'll be connected with the representative again. If you would like to ask a question, you can press 0 and you'll be connected with the representative. Right now, let's go to Ron in the Ovid area, who's calling in with a question apparently about the price of gas. Good evening, Ron. You're on with Representative Ben Glarden.
Thank you. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ron.
I'd like to ask, you know, the gas companies and stuff bought up our plant up to Elma, our refineries and stuff, and every time they have a hiccup in one of their plants, they say, well, they haven't got enough places to refine it, and gas prices go up. Now people have got where they can't even afford to go to work. I'm wondering what we're doing about these gas companies, and no gas or oil should leave this country before they're made to build better refineries or refineries that'll handle what we need. Are they being made to upgrade any of their stuff so that they're not having this problem? I mean, when you have a problem, you get it fixed. You build better. But they bought the refinery up to Alma, and the first thing they did was tear the whole thing down instead of upgrade it.
Well, Ron, I can tell you honestly, I don't know that I have the answer to that. I will be glad to pursue that or try to get an answer. I am not an expert in that field, and I do not know what the requirements are. I would think there would be some kind of accountability or some kind of standards if you're going to acquire something to have to live up to would seem the natural course. But I would be glad to pursue that. If you want to give me a call at 517-373-0841, if there's something I can look further into that, I will, but I do not have an answer for that right now.
And again, you're listening to a live teletown hall meeting with Representative Ben Glardon of Owasso. If you'd like to ask a question of Representative Ben Glardon, you can press 0, and you'll be connected with an operator. And obviously, we have been talking about a number of issues tonight, a broad variety of issues. Representative, taking a look at the list here, clearly a lot of things still that we could talk about. We might not get to everybody tonight. With that, let's go to Joe in Owasso, who has a question about a caseworker issue. Sounds like maybe a constituent service question. Good evening, Joe. You're on with Representative Ben Glardon.
How you doing, Ben? This is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, I've got a couple questions. And my question is, I'm visually impaired. I come down with a rare eye disease later in my life, so I lost my job and everything. But so I get this in-home health care, and I've been on it for almost 7 years, and I've had numerous caseworkers, and not a problem. And finally, I get this new caseworker, and he's a guy, and he walks in my house, and the first thing he says is, "How do you plant your flowers?" and "How do you do this?" Well, I said, "Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to plant a flower." And I said, "I just need help, sort my clothes out so I'm not wearing yellow or green, looking like a clown." He says, "Well, that's okay. You can look like a clown." Just kind of insulting my intelligence. So I called his supervisor and got nowhere. So I called her supervisor and still got nowhere. And I called his supervisor and still got nowhere. And the guy says, "If I like you, I'll get it done. If I don't, I got 45 days to do it."
Well, Joe, that is a very good example of a lot of the calls we get, and I would appreciate you to give me a call at the office because I have a tremendous staff that works diligently on many of these issues, and many of them we have been able to resolve, and I would look forward to that opportunity. So, again, if you would give my office a call, and it's 517-373-0841, I would be very glad to look into that.
Representative, along those constituent service lines, too, your district isn't too far from Lansing. If folks maybe are looking for a good one-day field trip for the kids, obviously a visit to the state capitol, the State Historic Museum is a good way to spend the day. Is that a case, too? They could just give your office a call, and your office could help them out.
Absolutely. I welcome, and that is a plus of being located where I'm at, one of the fortunate ones to be relatively close to the Capitol, so district-wise. So at any time, I am very accessible and welcome the opportunity if you have a day to come to the office and want to check things out firsthand, please do so.
Representative, another topic you have been working on this term is the issue of adoption. Specifically, you've been working on legislation designed to help families help kids in the state's foster care system. What's going on with that?
Well, it's a kind of a larger package of addresses adoption, more options for the adoption process. Certainly adoption is near and dear to my heart, and it is a tremendous option that I think allowing more options for adoption and opening that road to that ultimate goal is beneficial both for those seeking the adoption as well as the one being adopted. Along with that package, we're also doing a combined foster care parents' bill of rights that will allow the voice of the foster parents to be heard and a mechanism to go through complaints and that to work through issues that was not there before. So I think it's going to help in many aspects of that.
And I know, too, Representative, that's an issue where you and your colleagues introduced this legislation because you were listening to your constituents. You were in the district. You were hearing their concerns. And then maybe in sort of the high school textbook case of what a lawmaker is supposed to do, you went to Lansing and you went to work to help those folks out. Right now, let's go to Amanda in Owasso, who's calling in with a question about, it sounds like, illegal immigrants here in Michigan. Amanda, you're on with Representative Ben Glardin.
Hi, Amanda.
Hey there, Amanda.
This is Bob. They just said it's my turn to speak. I don't know if I'm not Amanda.
Okay, well, you'll be Bob. Hi, Bob.
Okay. How you doing?
Good.
I had a question. At this point, immigration is a large national issue. I was wondering if you had any idea how many illegals we have in Michigan, regardless of where they're from, and if there is anything being done at this point to minimize the amount of our tax dollars being spent for education for illegal children, as well as medical care for illegals, period, adults or children.
Well, Bob, you probably know immigration is a federal issue to a big degree, and there has been some movements to address that. It certainly is an issue. I guess my viewpoint on, I would like to see it be addressed federally so that each state doesn't have to create its own immigration standards, either making them less competitive or more competitive, depending on how you would look at it, to other states. Our state happens to be, particularly in the ag world, dependent on a lot of migrant workers. And there's a difference between being here legally and illegally, and sometimes those lines get blurred and cause issues for those that depend on the legal immigrants here working. So if there was a solution, I would like it to be federally so that we're not different than other states that would put us at a disadvantage against some other states in competition.
So, Representative, we've talked about a lot of issues here tonight, and something we've talked about before, but it bears mentioning again. If folks do have a question, give your office a call.
Absolutely. I welcome the opportunity, and again, I cannot promote my staff and their efficiencies, and we make a very good effort to respond to each and every inquiry, whether email or call. So I welcome that phone call at 517-373-0841, or my email is benglardin@house.mi.gov.
Representative, thank you very much for your time tonight.
And thank you all for who took the time to or gave up your time, and time is precious, and to take part of this. I appreciate it.